The desert did not forgive, and it did not forget. It swallowed men whole, stripped them of pride, and left only truth behind. That was why no one who saw the lone Apache warrior crossing the burning sands on the third day believed their eyes. Not because he was still alive under that cruel sun, but because of what he carried in his arms. He walked with steady, unbroken steps, as if the weight he bore was not flesh and bone, but something far heavier. The woman lay against his chest, her head resting near his shoulder, her dark hair tangled with dust and wind. Her face was pale from heat, yet there was a softness in it that did not belong to the desert. It belonged to another world, one of rivers and laughter, not fire and silence. The warrior was called Iron Hawk, a name earned not by birth, but by survival. His shoulders were broad, his skin marked by scars that told stories no one dared to ask about. His eyes, sharp and unyielding, had once held warmth. That warmth had died the day his wife was buried beneath a sky that refused to weep. Now, only one thing burned inside him, a promise he could not break. 3 days earlier, he had found her. She had been tied to a broken wagon wheel, abandoned in the open desert like something worthless. The sun had been merciless, beating down on her fragile frame, yet she had not cried out when he approached. Instead, she had lifted her chin with a kind of defiance that angered him more than any insult. She was called Silver Rain, though nothing about her seemed soft at that moment. Her lips were cracked, her wrists bruised from rope, but her eyes were fierce, almost daring him to judge her. He knew who she was before she spoke a word. Her name had traveled faster than the wind. A woman who had betrayed trust, who had brought shame upon those who had once protected her. Some said she had lied. Others said she had chosen the wrong side when it mattered most. In every version, she stood at the center of ruin. Iron Hawk had every reason to leave her there. He had turned away once, but something had stopped him. Maybe it was the way she refused to beg. Maybe it was the memory of another face, softer and kinder, that still haunted his nights. Or maybe it was something he did not yet understand. When he untied her, she had almost collapsed, her strength gone, her pride the only thing holding her upright. "I did not ask for your help," she had said, her voice dry but steady. "And I did not offer it," he had replied. Yet he had lifted her anyway. That was how the journey began. Now, on the third day, the desert stretched endlessly around them, a sea of gold and death. The wind carried whispers of danger, and the distant shapes of riders sometimes appeared on the horizon, only to vanish again like ghosts. Silver Rain stirred slightly in his arms. "You should have left me," she murmured, her voice barely more than breath. Iron Hawk did not look down at her. "You speak too much for someone who cannot walk." A faint smile touched her lips, though it carried no joy. "And you carry too much for someone who hates me." He said nothing. The truth was, he did hate her. Or at least he believed he should. Everything he had heard, everything he had lost, pointed him in that direction. Yet hate did not feel like this. Hate was sharp, clean, and certain. What he felt was something else, something heavier, something dangerous. They reached a ridge as the sun began its slow descent, painting the sky in shades of fire. From the top, the land beyond finally revealed a promise of water. A thin line of green broke the endless sand, a place where life still dared to exist. Silver Rain saw it too. "An oasis," she whispered. Iron Hawk nodded once. "If we reach it before night," she repeated, closing her eyes briefly. For a moment silence fell between them, broken only by the wind and the sound of his footsteps against the sand. Then she spoke again, softer this time. "Do you think I deserved what happened?" It was not a question. Iron Hawk stopped. The sudden stillness felt heavier than movement. He looked down at her for the first time in hours. Her eyes were open, searching his face not for kindness but for truth. "You brought trouble to your people," he said. "You made choices, and you have never made a wrong choice," she asked. His jaw tightened. "I carried the cost of mine." Her gaze did not waver. "So do I." Something in her voice shifted then. It was no longer defiant. It was tired, worn down by something deeper than the desert itself. For a moment he saw past the stories, past the whispers, and into something real, and it unsettled him. He started walking again, faster this time, as if distance could silence the thoughts rising in his mind. The sky darkened, and the air cooled slightly, though the ground still held the heat of the day. The oasis drew closer, its promise both comforting and uncertain. But they were not alone. Ironhawk sensed it before he saw it, the faint vibration of hooves, the distant echo of riders closing in. His grip tightened around Silver Rain as he scanned the horizon. 3 figures emerged from the fading light, men on horseback, watching, waiting. Silver Rain followed his gaze, her body going still. "They found us," she said quietly. "Who?" he asked, though part of him already knew. "The ones who left me to die." The riders did not rush forward. They circled at a distance, like wolves testing the strength of their prey. The message was clear. There would be no easy escape. Ironhawk's expression hardened. "You can still leave me," Silver Rain said suddenly. "You might outrun them alone." He looked at her, truly looked this time, dust-covered, wounded, accused by the world, yet still unwilling to beg for her life. "You think I carry you because I must?" he asked. "Then why?" she challenged. For a second he had no answer. The wind rose, carrying the scent of night and danger. And somewhere deep within him, something shifted. "I do not leave what I choose to protect," he said finally. Her eyes widened, just slightly. The riders began to move closer. Ironhawk adjusted his stance, his body preparing for what was to come. The oasis was within reach, but so was the fight that could end everything. Silver Rain's hand tightened weakly against his arm. "If we survive this," she said, her voice barely steady, "you may learn the truth about me." His gaze flickered to hers. "And if I do not believe it?" A faint, fragile smile touched her lips. "Then you will carry me no further." The distance between them and the riders shrank. Desert held its breath. And as the first shadow of violence crept across the sand, one question remained, unanswered and heavy between them. Was he saving a woman who had been wronged by the world, or one who had truly earned its judgment? The first rider urged his horse forward, slow and certain, as if he already knew how this would end. The others followed, spreading out just enough to close every path toward the oasis. Their silhouettes grew sharper in the fading light, hats low, rifles resting easy in their hands. They were not rushing. Men who rush make mistakes. These men carried patience like a weapon. Ironhawk shifted his footing on the ridge, feeling the loose sand slide beneath his boots. He did not set Silver Rain down, not yet. His arms had grown used to her weight, and something in him refused to let her touch the ground while danger circled. "You know them," he said under his breath. Silver Rain's fingers tightened against his shoulder. "The one in front is called Black Vulture," she answered. "He hunts for coin and for pride. He does not like losing either." Ironhawk studied the man. Black Vulture sat tall in the saddle, his coat dark, his face shadowed but unmistakably calm. A man who had done this many times before, a man who believed no one could take from him what he claimed. And the others? "Dust Rider and Stone Crow," she said. "They follow him. Not because they trust him, but because they fear him." The wind shifted again, carrying the dry scent of the desert and something colder beneath it. Ironhawk felt the moment stretching, tightening like a drawn bow. "Why do they want you alive?" he asked. Silver Rain hesitated, and that silence spoke louder than any answer. "Because I know something," she said at last. "That is not enough," he replied. "It is enough for men like them." Black Vulture raised a hand, and the riders slowed, stopping just out of reach. His voice carried easily across the distance. "You have walked far, Apache," he called. "Farther than most would for a burden that is not theirs." Ironhawk did not answer. Black Vulture tilted his head slightly, studying them both. "Put the woman down and step away. This does not need to end badly for you." Silver Rain let out a quiet breath, almost a bitter laugh. He says that as if he believes it. Ironhawk's gaze never left the riders. "Do you trust him?" "No." "Then be still." The memory of another day rose, uninvited in Ironhawk's mind. A different sun, a different sky. His wife, Red Willow, standing beside the river, her hands in the water as she laughed at something small and simple. She had always found joy where he found duty. She had believed in mercy when he believed in strength. "You carry too much anger," she had once told him. "One day it will ask for a price you cannot pay." He had not listened then. Now her voice felt closer than ever. Black Vulture nudged his horse forward another step. You think you can fight your way through 3 guns and live? He asked. You are strong. I see that. But strength fades. Bullets do not. Ironhawk finally spoke. Then come closer and test your words. A flicker of amusement crossed Black Vulture's face. I admire courage, even when it is wasted. Silver Rain shifted slightly in Ironhawk's arms, her voice low and urgent. They will not rush. They will wait until you tire, till your arms give out. I know, he said. Then put me down, she insisted. At least you will have a chance. His grip did not loosen. I already made my choice. Her breath caught, just for a moment. You do not even know what I did, she said, softer now. I know what I see. And what do you see? Ironhawk's jaw tightened. A woman who does not beg. Something changed in her expression then. Not relief, not hope, but something fragile that had not been there before. The riders began to move again, slower this time, tightening the circle. The space around Ironhawk and Silver Rain shrank with every step. The oasis waited below, close enough to promise life, far enough to remain out of reach. Listen to me, Silver Rain whispered. If they take me, they will not kill me quickly. They need answers. They need what I carry in my mind. What is it? He asked. She shook her head weakly. Not here, not like this. You expect me to protect you without truth? I expect nothing, she said. But if we live through this, I will tell you everything. The honesty in her voice felt different this time. Not defensive, not sharp, just real. Ironhawk adjusted his stance again, measuring distance, wind, and timing. 3 men, 3 rifles. Open ground. No cover except the slope behind him and the promise of water below. Not a good place to fight. But there were no good places left. Black Vulture lifted his rifle slightly, not aiming yet, just reminding them both of what waited. This is your last chance, he called. You are not her keeper. Walk away. Ironhawk felt Silver Rain's hand press faintly against his chest. He is right about one thing, she said quietly. You owe me nothing. The words settled heavy between them. For a moment he imagined turning away, leaving her there, just as others had. Walking down to the oasis alone, washing the dust from his skin, letting the desert take what it wanted. It would be easier. It would be logical. It would also be wrong. I do not carry debt, he said. I carry purpose. Silver Rain looked up at him, her eyes searching his face as if trying to understand something she had never seen before. Why? She asked again, almost a whisper. This time he answered, Because once someone stood between me and death when they did not have to, he said, and I did not forget. Her lips parted slightly, but no words came. The circle closed tighter. Dust Rider shifted in his saddle, impatience creeping into his posture. Stone Crow glanced toward Black Vulture, waiting for the signal. The air felt heavy now, thick with the kind of silence that comes just before everything breaks. Silver Rain leaned closer, her voice barely audible. If I die here, the truth dies with me. Ironhawk's eyes narrowed. Then do not die. It is not always a choice. It is tonight. A faint, unexpected warmth touched her expression, despite the fear that lingered beneath it. You speak like a man who has never been defeated, she said. I have been defeated, he replied. I am still here. Black Vulture exhaled slowly, as if losing patience at last. Enough, he said. The word cut through the air like a blade. His rifle came up, steady and sure. At that exact moment, the wind shifted again, stronger this time, sending a swirl of sand across the ridge. For a heartbeat, visibility blurred, shapes turning to shadows. Ironhawk moved, not backward, not away, but forward, down the slope toward the oasis. His steps were fast, controlled, every movement calculated. Silver Rain clung to him, her breath catching as the world tilted with sudden motion. A shot cracked through the air. The sound echoed across the desert, sharp and final. Sand kicked up near Ironhawk's feet, the bullet missing by inches. Run, Silver Rain whispered, though she knew he already was. Another shot followed, then another. The riders surged forward now, patience gone, replaced by pursuit. The slope was steep, the ground uneven. One wrong step could send them both tumbling. Ironhawk did not slow. The oasis grew closer, the promise of water and cover just within reach. Trees rose like guardians, their shadows stretching across the sand. Behind them hooves thundered. "They are gaining, Silver Rain said, her voice tight with fear. "I know. You cannot outrun horses forever. I do not need forever." A third shot rang out. Closer this time. Too close. Ironhawk felt the shift in the air before he felt the impact. A sharp force struck his side, not deep, but enough to break his rhythm for a single step. He did not fall. But the desert beneath his feet seemed to tilt, just slightly. Silver Rain felt it. "You are hit," she said, panic rising in her voice. "It is nothing. It is not nothing." His grip tightened around her. Hold on. The trees of the oasis loomed ahead now, their shade within reach. Behind them, Black Vulture's voice carried over the chaos. "You cannot escape," he called. "Not with her. Not like this." Ironhawk did not answer. He crossed the final stretch of open sand and stepped into the shadow of the first tree. For a moment, the world changed. The heat lessened. The air felt different. But the danger did not fade, because the riders did not stop. They followed. And as Ironhawk staggered slightly, the strength in his step no longer as certain as before, Silver Rain realized something that tightened her chest with fear. He had chosen to protect her, but that choice might cost him everything. The shade of the oasis wrapped around them, but it did not feel like safety. It felt like a pause before something worse. The trees stood tall and quiet, their leaves whispering softly as the wind moved through them. A narrow stream cut through the center, its water clear and calm, as if the desert had chosen this place to hide its last kindness. Ironhawk slowed at last, his breath heavier now, though he tried not to show it. The wound at his side burned with every step, warm and sharp, reminding him that even strength had limits. Still, he did not set Silver Rain down right away. He carried her deeper into the trees, away from the open edge where the riders could see clearly. Only when the cover thickened did he kneel and lower her gently onto the ground. Silver Rain felt the shift the moment his arms left her. The air seemed colder without his hold, though the night was still warm. She looked up at him quickly, her eyes searching his face. "You should have told me it was bad," she said, her voice tight. "It is not bad," he replied, though his hand pressed briefly against his side. She saw the truth anyway. Blood had already begun to darken the edge of his clothing. "You are lying," she said softly. Ironhawk met her gaze, steady as always. "I am still standing. That is not the same thing." For a moment, neither spoke. The sound of distant hooves drifted through the trees, closer now, slower but certain. Black Vulture and his men were not rushing anymore, knew where their prey had gone. Silver Rain pushed herself up slightly, ignoring the weakness in her limbs. "We do not have time," she said. "Let me see it." He hesitated, not from fear, but from something deeper. Letting someone close like this was not something he had done since Red Willow. That kind of trust had been buried with her. But Silver Rain did not look away. "Let me help you," she said again, quieter now. Something in her voice broke through his resistance. Not command, not defiance, just a simple request. Slowly he shifted and allowed her to reach him. Her hands were unsteady at first, not from fear, but from exhaustion. Still, she worked carefully, pulling aside the fabric just enough to see the wound. It was not deep, but it was not small either. The bullet had grazed, tearing flesh, and leaving a trail that would not stop bleeding on its own. She drew in a breath. "You were right," she murmured. "It did not go through." Ironhawk gave a faint, dry response. "That is good." "It is not good," she said, shaking her head. "It is survival. There is a difference." She tore a strip from the edge of her clothing, ignoring the way it left her more exposed to the night air. Her focus stayed on him, on the task, on keeping him steady. As she pressed the cloth against the wound, he did not flinch. Pain was something he had learned to carry long ago. "You have done this before," he said, watching her. She did not look up. "I have had too. For yourself." For others, there was a story in those words, one she had not yet told. The sound of a branch snapping somewhere beyond the trees made them both freeze. "They are here," she whispered. Ironhawk's eyes sharpened instantly. He shifted, ignoring the pull of pain, and reached for his knife. was not much against rifles, but it was enough if the fight came close. They will spread out, Silver Rain said quickly. Black Vulture is not careless. He will not walk straight into cover. You know him well, Ironhawk replied. I know the kind of man he is. And what kind is that? She met his gaze, her expression hardening slightly. The kind who does not stop until he has taken what he wants. The words lingered between them, heavy with meaning. Ironhawk finished tying the cloth at his side, securing it firmly. Then he will not stop tonight, he said. No, she agreed. He will not. The leaves rustled again, closer this time. Shadow moved between the trees, then another. They were circling just as before, but now the ground was tighter, the space smaller. Silver Rain's hand brushed against his arm without thinking. There is something you should know, she said. He glanced at her, then speak. She hesitated again, but only for a moment. The reason they want me is not just for answers, it is for proof. Proof of what? Her voice dropped lower. There was a deal made. Between men like Black Vulture and men who wear uniforms and call themselves law, land, gold, power. I was there when it was spoken. Ironhawk's expression darkened. And you betrayed them. I refused to stay silent, she corrected. That was enough. And your people? He asked. The ones who turned on you? They believed the lies first, she said, a trace of bitterness slipping through. It was easier than facing the truth. The pieces began to shift in Ironhawk's mind, not fully clear, but no longer as simple as before. Carry something they fear, he said. Yes, and that is why they hunt you. Yes. The honesty between them felt different now. It's not forced, not guarded. Real. Another sound broke through the quiet, this time a voice. Come out, Black Vulture called from somewhere beyond the trees. His tone was calm, almost patient. Cannot hide forever. Ironhawk stood slowly, his body adjusting to the strain. The wound pulled, but he did not let it slow him. Silver Rain looked up at him. You should leave now, she said again. You are hurt. If you stay, you will fall. And you? He asked. I will face what comes, she answered. I have been running long enough. Something in her words struck deeper than he expected. You think I'd carry you this far to leave you at the end? He said. Her eyes softened, just slightly. I think you carry too much already. Before he could respond, a figure stepped into view between the trees. Stone Crow, his rifle was raised, but not yet aimed directly. His eyes flicked between them, measuring, waiting. End of the trail, he said. Ironhawk stepped slightly in front of Silver Rain, placing himself between her and the threat. Stone Crow smirked faintly. Brave, he added, but not smart. Another figure appeared to the left, Dust Rider. And then, from the shadows ahead, Black Vulture himself emerged, calm as ever, his presence filling the space like a storm waiting to break. You have spirit, Black Vulture said, looking at Ironhawk. I will give you that. But spirit does not change the outcome. Ironhawk did not move. Silver Rain rose slowly behind him, though her strength was far from restored. Still, she stood. I told you before, she said, her voice steady, despite everything. You will not take me easily. Black Vulture's gaze shifted to her, a hint of something sharper beneath his calm. You misunderstand, he said. I do not need easy, only need certain. The tension in the air thickened, every breath feeling heavier than the last. Ironhawk felt Silver Rain's presence just behind him, close enough that he could sense her without looking. Should not have come back for me, she whispered. And you should not have been left behind, he replied. For a brief moment in the middle of danger, something passed between them, not spoken, not fully understood, but strong enough to be felt. Black Vulture raised his rifle at last. Final chance, he said. Step aside. Ironhawk's grip tightened on his knife. No. The single word carried more weight than anything else he could have said. The night seemed to hold its breath again. And as the first step toward violence drew closer, as the lines between survival, truth, and something deeper began to blur, one thing became clear to them both. This was no longer just about escape. It was about what they were willing to stand for. And what they were willing to lose? The air inside the oasis felt tight, like the world had shrunk to the space between 3 rifles and 1 wounded man. Even the stream seemed too quiet, as if it understood what was about to unfold. Ironhawk stood firm, though the pain at his side had begun to spread deeper, dull and heavy, pulling at his strength with every breath. Black Vulture took another step forward, slow and deliberate. His boots pressed into the soft earth, leaving marks that felt final, like he had already claimed this ground. Dust Rider shifted to the right, circling slightly, while Stone Crow moved left, closing the space with careful steps. They were not rushing. They were making sure there would be no escape this time. Silver Rain stood just behind Iron Hawk, her presence close enough that he could feel her breath, uneven but steady. She did not hide. She did not shrink. Even now, facing men who had hunted her across the desert, she stood with a quiet strength that refused to break. "You think standing there will change anything?" Black Vulture said, his voice calm but edged with something sharper now. "It will not." Iron Hawk did not answer. His eyes moved once, measuring distance, reading the space between trees, the angle of each man, the position of the moonlight slipping through the branches. Every detail mattered now. Silver Rain spoke instead. "You have chased me far enough," she said. "What you want is not worth this." Black Vulture's gaze settled on her, and for the first time, there was a flicker of something close to irritation. "You do not decide what is worth it," he replied. "You lost that right when you chose to speak against men who hold power." "I chose truth," she said. "And truth is a dangerous thing when it stands in the wrong place," he answered. The words hung in the air, heavy and cold. Iron Hawk shifted slightly, his stance lowering just enough to brace himself. The pain in his side flared, but he forced it down, burying it beneath focus. Pain could wait. Survival could not. "You speak too much," he said to Black Vulture. "You're going to act, then act." Dust Rider let out a short, dry laugh. "He wants it to end quick," he said. "I almost respect that." Stone Crow did not speak, but his grip on the rifle tightened, his eyes locked on Iron Hawk's chest. Silver Rain's hand brushed against Iron Hawk's back, light but certain. "Do not let them surround you fully," she whispered. "Keep moving. Make them come to you one at a time." He gave the slightest nod. Black Vulture noticed the movement. "You plan together now?" he said. "Oh, that is new. People change," Silver Rain replied. "No," he said quietly. "They reveal who they always were." The wind moved through the trees again, stronger this time, rustling leaves, shifting shadows across the ground. For a brief second, the light broke unevenly, creating gaps, distortions, small moments where sight could fail. Iron Hawk saw it. He moved, not forward, not back, but to the side, fast and sudden, using the trees as cover. The motion caught Dust Rider off guard, forcing him to adjust his aim. A shot cracked through the night. The sound echoed, sharp and loud, scattering birds from the branches above. Iron Hawk had already shifted again, pulling Silver Rain with him, placing a thick tree between them and the riders. The bark splintered as another shot struck, sending fragments into the air. "Move," he said under his breath. Silver Rain did not hesitate. Though her strength was not fully returned, she followed his lead, staying close, trusting his instinct. They moved through the trees, not running blindly, but weaving, forcing the riders to adjust, to reposition, to lose the clean lines they wanted. Black Vulture's voice cut through the chaos. "Spread out," he ordered. "Do not let them reach the waterline." Stone Crow moved deeper to the left, trying to cut them off. Dust Rider pushed forward, more aggressive now, trying to close the distance. Iron Hawk felt the pressure building. Space was shrinking again. Another shot rang out. This time closer, too close. Sharp sting hit his shoulder. Not a full strike, but enough to throw him off balance for a step. Caught himself, refusing to fall, refusing to slow. Silver Rain saw it and felt a surge of fear. "You cannot keep taking this," she said, her voice breaking slightly. "I do not plan to," he replied. They reached the edge of the stream, the water reflecting the moonlight in broken lines. For a moment, the open space made them vulnerable again. "No more running," Iron Hawk said. Silver Rain looked at him, her eyes wide but steady. "Then what?" He met her gaze, and in that moment, something passed between them that went beyond fear, beyond survival. "Then we stand." Her breath caught, not from fear, but from the weight of those words. For the first time since this began, she stepped beside him, not behind. Her shoulder almost touched his. "If we fall," she said quietly, "we fall knowing the truth did not die with us." Ironhawk's voice was low. "We are not falling." The riders emerged from the trees again, forming a loose line across the edge of the clearing. Black Vulture in the center, calm as ever. Dust Rider to the right, restless and eager. A Stone Crow to the left, silent and precise. The stream flowed between them, a thin line that meant nothing now. Black Vulture raised his rifle once more. "You have spirit," he said again. "But spirit does not stop bullets." Ironhawk's grip tightened on his knife, his stance firm despite the growing weight in his body. Silver Rain's hand moved slightly, brushing against his for just a second. It was not a grasp, not a plea. It was a promise. And in that brief contact, something shifted again. Not just survival, not just protection. Something deeper, stronger, rising between them, despite everything that stood against them. "You should have let me die in the desert," she said softly, her eyes on the men ahead. "No," he answered. "Why?" she asked, one last time. This time his answer came without hesitation. "Because I see you," he said. Her breath caught, her chest tightening in a way that had nothing to do with fear. Before she could speak again, Black Vulture's voice cut through the moment. Enough. His finger tightened on the trigger. The world seemed to slow, every sound stretching, every movement sharpening. The wind stilled, the water flowed. The distance between them felt smaller than ever. And as the first shot was about to break the fragile silence, as everything balanced on the edge of a single moment, one truth stood clear between them. Whatever happened next would decide not only who survived, but who they became when it was over. The shot broke the silence, but it did not end the story. Ironhawk moved at the exact moment Black Vulture fired, not fast like panic, but sharp like instinct. He stepped into the stream, pulling Silver Rain with him as water splashed around their legs. The movement threw off the aim just enough. The bullet struck the surface, sending a spray into the air instead of finding its mark. Before the echo faded, Ironhawk acted again. He grabbed a handful of wet sand and flung it toward the light, forcing a brief blur in Black Vulture's sight. It was not a perfect plan. It was a desperate one. But sometimes that was enough. "Now," he said. Silver Rain understood. She moved with him, not behind, but beside, keeping low as they shifted across the stream toward a cluster of thicker trees. The riders fired again, but their shots were less certain now. The water, the shadows, the movement had broken their rhythm. Dust Rider rushed forward, trying to close the distance. He was faster than the others, more reckless. That was his weakness. Ironhawk saw it. He changed direction suddenly, drawing Dust Rider in. As the man stepped closer, raising his rifle again, Ironhawk closed the gap in a single motion. The fight became close, too close for clean shots. There was a brief struggle, sharp and controlled, and then Dust Rider stumbled back, dropping his weapon as he lost balance in the uneven ground. Stone Crow hesitated, his aim shifting, uncertain with his own ally in the line of fire. Black Vulture's calm finally cracked. "Hold your line," he snapped. But the moment had already changed. Silver Rain moved then, not away, but forward. She stepped into the open just enough for her voice to carry. "You will not win this," she called out. Black Vulture's gaze snapped to her. "You still believe that?" he said. "I know it," she answered, "'cause you are already losing control." For a second, his expression hardened, not with anger, but with something more dangerous. Realization, the desert was not on his side anymore. The clean hunt had turned into something messy, something uncertain. Ironhawk stood again, steady, despite the pain. His breathing was heavier, but his eyes had not lost their focus. "You want her?" he said to Black Vulture. "Come take her?" The challenge hung in the air. Stone Crow glanced at Black Vulture, waiting. Dust Rider struggled to regain footing, shaken but not out of the fight. Black Vulture lowered his rifle slightly, thinking, calculating. Then something unexpected happened. A distant sound broke through the tension. Not gunfire, not wind. Voices, more than one. All heads turned toward the edge of the oasis where the desert opened again. Shapes appeared in the distance. Riders, not 3, not 4. Many. They moved in a line, steady and purposeful, their silhouettes growing clearer as they approached. Silver Rain's breath caught. "They came," she whispered. Ironhawk glanced at her. Who? The ones who finally heard the truth, she said. As the riders drew closer, their presence became undeniable. Men from nearby tribes, a few wearing pieces of uniform, but not like the ones Black Vulture served. These were not hunters for coin. These were men who had come to see for themselves. Black Vulture's jaw tightened. The balance had shifted. You brought them here, he said to Silver Rain. I brought the truth, she replied. The new riders slowed as they reached the edge of the oasis, their leader stepping forward. His name was Thundercrest, a man known for judging with his own eyes, not with rumors. His gaze moved across the scene. The drawn weapons. The wounded warrior. The woman who stood without fear. What is this? Thundercrest asked. Black Vulture straightened slightly, trying to regain control of the moment. A matter that does not concern you. It concerns me if it spills blood on land that is not yours, Thundercrest replied calmly. Silence followed. Then Silver Rain spoke. I was accused, she said, her voice clear despite everything. I was hunted because I refused to stay silent about deals made in shadow, deals that would take land, break trust, and leave people with nothing. Her words carried across the clearing, reaching not just Thundercrest, but every man present. I have no weapon, she continued, only truth. If that is a crime, then let it be judged here. It's not in the desert, not in silence. Thundercrest studied her for a long moment, then turned his gaze to Black Vulture. Is this true? Black Vulture did not answer immediately. For the first time, he had no easy control of the story. That is not for you to decide, he said finally. Thundercrest's voice remained calm. Then you leave. Now, the tension snapped tight again. For a moment, it seemed like everything could still fall apart. Then Black Vulture made his choice. He lowered his rifle completely, his expression cold. This is not over, he said quietly. No, Silver Rain replied. But it will not end the way you planned. Black Vulture gave one last look at Ironhawk, then turned his horse. Stone Crow followed. Dust Rider hesitated, then moved after them. Within moments they were gone, disappearing back into the desert they had come from. The silence that followed felt different this time. Lighter, safer. Ironhawk finally allowed himself to breathe fully. Though the pain in his body reminded him how close everything had come, Silver Rain turned to him. Her eyes filled with something new. It's not just relief, not just gratitude. Something deeper. You stayed, she said softly. I said I would, he replied. Thundercrest approached them, his presence steady. You will both come with us, he said. There are things to be heard, things to be set right. Days passed, truths were spoken, stories were untangled. The lies that had followed Silver Rain began to fall apart under the weight of what she revealed. The deals, the betrayal, the reasons she had been hunted all came to light. It was not easy, it was not quick, but it was real, and in the end it was enough. Ironhawk healed slowly. The wound at his side left a scar, one more among many, but this one carried a different meaning. Silver Rain stayed near him through it all. What began in the desert as distrust and tension grew into something neither of them had expected. Quiet moments turned into shared understanding. Shared understanding turned into something stronger. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, painting the sky in warm colors, Silver Rain stood beside him. You carried me when you had no reason, she said. I had a reason, he replied. She looked at him. What was it? He met her gaze. There was no fear in her eyes now, only warmth. Their hands found each other, simple and certain. In time, they were married under an open sky, surrounded by those who had once doubted and now believed. The desert that had once threatened to take everything had instead given them something they had never expected. A new beginning. Years later, laughter filled their home. Children ran across the land, their voices carrying where once only silence had lived. The past was not forgotten, but it no longer held power over them. Ironhawk would sometimes stand at the edge of the horizon, watching the desert stretch endlessly, as it always had. Silver Rain would join him, their children not far behind. You still think about that journey? She would say. Yes, he would answer. And what do you see? He would look at her, then at the life they had built. I see the moment everything changed. She would smile, the same strength still in her, but now softened by peace. The desert did not forgive, and it did not forget. But sometimes it allowed something rare to grow within it. Love that survived the fire, a truth that refused to be buried, and a story that began with shame but ended with something far stronger.